Varmt välkomna till Aktiespararna och den digitala aktiekvällen, och jag kommer nu att växla över till engelska och säga Welcome to Aktiespararna and the Digital Share Evening. We will now have a presentation of the company Northgold, a company facing an IPO, and the presenter is the company's CEO Mitch Vanderydt. My name is Lars Håkansson and I am the moderator. We look forward, Mitch, to listen to your presentation. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Lars. Good to be here. Northgold is a gold exploration story in central Finland. And my name is Mitch Vanderydt, and I joined the company as CEO nearly 8 months ago in July, after spending my entire 13-year professional career in the metals and mining sector, which included, most recently, nearly 3 years at a top independent investment bank in Toronto as a research analyst. And before that, I was an engineer for 10 years working in industry on mine design, construction, and permitting. What attracted me to this story and enticed me to leave my somewhat comfortable job at the investment bank were two main attributes that I will elaborate on during this presentation. Number one, the quality of the assets. And number two, the strong ownership backing by two solid founding groups with successful track records. And I think these attributes should translate to reasons for investors to buy the stock, especially at the ground floor as part of the ongoing IPO. I will be making some forward-looking statements today, as is typical for exploration companies. So I would encourage you to read through the disclaimer when you have a chance. This presentation is also available on our website at www.northgoldab.com. The contents of today's presentation are as follows. And this executive summary slide highlights Northgold's solid starting resource base of 725,000 ounces gold equivalent, with a weighted average grade of 1.11 grams per ton gold equivalent, or 0.91 grams per ton, excluding the copper that happens to be associated with gold mineralization in this region. These resources are held across our two project areas within the Middle Österbottnia gold belt, which is circled in red on the map to the right. We like this belt in central Finland because it's rather underexplored relative to the northern part of Finland, where large companies such as Agnico Eagle and Rupert Resources have made major discoveries in the past. And we think similar potential should exist in the Middle Österbottnia belt, where only the surface has been scratched, comparatively speaking. Our two project areas include our flagship Kopsa project and our earlier stage Kamala Trend project, which are roughly 50 kilometers apart, both of which we plan to drill as part of our 2022 drill program that is set to begin this coming May. Kopsa holds the bulk of our resources and has a conditionally approved mining permit that should help shorten the timeline to production. And our Kamala Trend project hosts a minority share of our mineral resources, but includes several other drilled and undrilled prospects that require follow-up drilling. We point out this little table on this slide that the bulk of our resources are in the measured and indicated category, which means they are fairly densely drilled, giving us an already fairly high degree of confidence in them, with our inferred resources, which are characterized by more widely spaced drilling, making up only a minority share of our resources. And we think together these projects in the Northgold IPO offer solid exposure to both early and advanced stage gold exploration on a district scale land package within an emerging belt in a top jurisdiction, and excellent exposure to a recently rising gold price. Some key investment highlights are shown here. Finland's consistently ranked the top jurisdiction globally for mining by the Fraser Institute, with the most recent 2020 ranking shown in the chart on the right. And this ranking takes into account a combination of attributes that include geology, policy perception, along with other attributes such as labor availability and infrastructure. Finland is also underexplored relative to other top mining jurisdictions such as Canada and Australia, after Finland didn't open its doors to investment from foreign companies until 1996. And this foreign investment didn't really take off until the last decade or so, as is highlighted on this slide, with the key investments made by Kinross Gold in 2018, Presenterar Gold in 2019, and Agnico Eagle in 2020. As mentioned, our projects offer exposure to our recently rising gold price, partly associated with loosening monetary policy in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Together, our projects make up a fairly dominant land package in our region of focus, the Middle Ostrobothnia Gold Belt, where mineralization tends to be near surface, often outcropping or exposed at the surface, all of which should bode well for low-cost resource growth and new discoveries. And as I mentioned earlier, Northgold is backed by two solid groups with track records. Number one, our largest shareholder, Magnus Minerals, a Finnish geologic consultant and mining project generator, which has multiple existing joint ventures in Finland, including with major mining companies such as Boliden AB, First Quantum Minerals, and Rio Tinto. And number two, Starboard Global Limited, which is an international mining private equity group that's been involved with numerous successful listings, including Euro Battery Minerals AB, which is also listed in Sweden and also holds a project in Finland. Next, I will talk briefly about gold as a commodity and asset class. As I mentioned, gold has been performing well in recent months, remaining well above $1,700 US dollars per ounce and around $1,900 per ounce most recent. This is partly due to rising inflation, which in the US hit 7.5% in January after remaining above 5% since May, which we think is further helped by the recent apparent uncertainty in the overall global equity markets, and most recently further helped by the unfortunate situation taking place in Ukraine. And while there has been some buzz around Bitcoin as an alternative asset class to gold in recent years, we are hearing less about this in recent months as Bitcoin price has been declining some. And we like to point out that the value of Bitcoin in circulation is more than an order of magnitude lower than the value of gold produced through history. Another interesting tidbit came out of China just last week with the World Gold Council announcing that Chinese consumption of gold was up 56% year over year in 2021, with Chinese demand for gold expected to remain strong throughout 2022, despite potentially slowing economic growth in China. Next, we'll take a deeper dive into the Northgold story and its assets. This slide summarizes Northgold's brief history since its founding in September 2020. The company was created as a special purpose vehicle by its two major founding shareholders, Magnus Minerals and Starboard Global, for the sole purpose of the ongoing Swedish IPO on the Nasdaq First North Growth Market Exchange. Since its founding, the company has made two arm's length acquisitions of Finnish subsidiaries, which both had been largely held by Northgold's largest shareholder, Magnus Minerals. Valuation Malmi and its Kamala Trend project were acquired first in late 2020, after which it was decided to also roll up Fania Gold for its Kopsa project, which is now our flagship and which helped Northgold achieve greater critical mass going into the ongoing IPO. This slide shows the big picture geologic setting of the Middle Ostrobothnia Gold Belt where we operate. Significant investment on the Swedish side of the Gulf of Bothnia has resulted in numerous precious metals discoveries along Sweden's VMS and gold line trends. And we believe this prospectivity should extend over to the Finnish side along its Rahi-Ladoga trend, which has received less than 10% of the investment received by the Swedish side, but has already yielded some discoveries as shown on the map here, including Northgold's largest deposit, Kopsa, and Andrusneva. Here we take a closer look at the Middle Ostrobothnia Gold Belt, where Northgold is focused. Gold occurs throughout this emerging district, and Northgold holds two of the more significant projects that cover some of the more prospective areas. To the south, we have Kopsa, our flagship, which is drill ready and hosts just under 500,000 ounce gold, or just over 500,000 ounce gold equivalent. To the 50 kilometers to the north is our earlier stage Kamala Trend project, which has 7 granted permits, 2 applications, and 1 reservation, with the largest deposit Angisneva hosting 147,000 ounce gold. And then some other areas and projects of interest are shown here. At the top of the map, we have the Liva gold mine, which is held by Otso Gold, and it hosts resources of 0.8 million ounce gold. And it also has a plant, a processing plant with a nameplate capacity of 2 million tons per annum. This mine is currently in production, but they're operating at a much lower throughput. So the potential exists for possible toll milling of Northgold's resources up at this mine. Those discussions have not yet begun, but we hope to start them following the IPO. Percy Kangas project is held by Rupert Resources and hosts mineral resources of 89,000 ounces. This project is non-core for Rupert Resources, given that Rupert operates primarily up in Lapland, in the northern part of Finland. And we believe in the future it could be possible to roll this up with Northgold's projects where we think it could fit. And then over down to the bottom right of the map here is Piasami mine is located, and it's held by First Quantum Minerals. And this mine is currently approaching the end of its mine life. And it also has an existing 1.5 million tons per annum mill, which could potentially also be used for toll milling of Northgold's resources. But once again, those discussions have yet to begin, but we could hope to potentially start them following the IPO. This slide takes a closer look at our flagship Kapsa project, which is just over 500,000 ounce gold equivalent resources, some of which is exposed at surface at several outcropping locations. It also has growth potential, not only on the limbs of the deposit, but also along separate parallel structures along the north and south of the deposit, based on encouraging geophysics and base of till geochemical sampling. Importantly, this project has a conditionally approved mining permit that's based on an outdated 2013 preliminary economic assessment, which had been based on a past toll milling arrangement. The PEA saw positive economics at a gold price of only $1,200 per ounce and a copper price of only $2.72 per ounce from an initial capex of $50 million, whereas gold and copper today trade above $1,800 per ounce and $4 per pound, suggesting much improved economics today. We plan to drill Kapsa this year with the intent of growing resources, and then we ultimately plan to optimize the conditionally permitted project to help expedite development and production, provided we could find a suitable toll milling arrangement, and once we complete the necessary technical studies and finalize permitting. This slide takes a closer look at our other project, Kamala Trend, which covers 15 kilometers along strike of this prospective trend, which contains numerous gold resources and prospects that are associated with regional fault structures striking to the northwest. The project hosts 7 granted exploration permits, 3 of which are drill ready, which we plan to drill this year, and 4 of which are still undergoing public correspondence, plus another 2 additional exploration permits that are under application, and 1 large reservation to the north. Kamala Trend's largest deposit, Angisneva, is shown here, which contains 3.85 million tons, grading 1.19 grams per ton gold for 147,000 ounces, based on the 2010 resource estimate, which is entirely in the indicated category. Much of this deposit is near surface, as shown in this block model on the right. Drilling that fed into this resource includes some attractive intercepts, as listed here on the left. And while most of the intercepts to date have been shallow, broad, and moderately graded, there were also some encouraging higher grade, more discrete intercepts at depth where very little drilling has been done, including this 5.26 grams per ton gold over 15.1 meters. And we think this shows potential for long life, high grade underground mining, after, of course, the shallower, more open pittable material has been mined out. That being said, our initial drilling focus at Kamala Trend will be shallow, which is typically lower cost and which we consider to be the lower hanging fruit currently, given the numerous prospects that we hold along this trend many of which could grow into deposits similar to this Angus Neva deposit. This slide highlights some of those other prospects at Kamala Trend, which, as mentioned, are associated with the northwest striking fault structures. In addition to Angus Neva, there are also numerous other drilled prospects with multiple encouraging intercepts over 1 gram per ton gold that require follow-up drilling. And this excludes numerous other undrilled prospects that show potential for brand new discoveries based on encouraging past geophysics and geochemistry work. This slide outlines our near-term, medium-term, and longer-term objectives. In the near term, over the next 12 to 18 months, we intend to grow our flagship Topsa resource and explore other prospects along Kamala Trend with the goal of increasing gold equivalent resources to 1 million ounce. If and when we hit that goal, we aim to pivot to our medium-term objective of optimizing our conditionally permitted Topsa project with the goal of advancing it to a development stage through a possible toll milling arrangement with a local processing facility. And ultimately, provided we meet these near-term and medium-term goals, we aim to advance Topsa to production stage while continuing to explore and consolidate additional properties and potential production satellites across the belt. Here we reiterate our current company mineral resources of 725,000 ounce gold equivalent, but this time broken down by project. As shown, our flagship Topsa project holds the lion's share of our resources, the majority of which are in the measured and indicated category, with only a relatively small share in the more widely spaced drilled inferred category. Our board of directors include appointed members from our 2 founding shareholder groups, which include Henrik Lofberg, appointed by Magnus Minerals, for which he also serves as the operations manager there, and Roberto Garcia Martinez, appointed by Starboard Global, who is also the CEO of a Sweden-listed base metals exploration company, Eurobattery Minerals AB, with the remaining 2 board seats held by senior geologist Timo Mäki, who has decades of experience working in the Middle Osterbothnia belt of central Finland, and who's credited with a major discovery at the Piasami mine. And lastly, our chairman is Otto Persson, who is a well-connected Swedish businessman, founder and past CEO of Train Alliance, which also trades on the NASDAQ First North Growth Market Exchange. Our management team is lean. It includes myself as CEO, an experienced CFO contracted under a consulting arrangement, and our expert geologist board member who steps up to help oversee exploration activities and planning. I tend to wear a lot of hats in the organization, given my diverse background in mining spread across engineering, environmental work, mine permitting, and capital markets. And we plan to continue maintaining a lean team, relying on consultants to the extent we can in order to help us minimize overhead costs and maximize exploration expenditures, which is often the best way for exploration companies such as Northgold to boost their share price. And we'll speak a little to the transaction. We intend to raise a minimum of 43.5 million SEK, or roughly 4.2 million euros, 74% of which was covered by cornerstone commitments prior to this subscription period. The maximum transaction would be 50 million SEK, or roughly 4.8 million euros, which includes an over-allotment option. We aim to put at least 50% of the proceeds into the ground as core drilling, with the remaining half split between early stage exploration activities, such as geophysical surveys and geochemical sampling, and also geologic consultants, tenement-related fees, and overhead costs. This important slide summarizes market multiples of enterprise value per gold equivalent ounce resource for a range of listed gold exploration and developer peers. As shown, the gold explorer peer group average is 55 euros per ounce gold equivalent, and the developer peer group average is 127 euros per ounce gold equivalent. Northgold's enterprise value of 8 million euros at IPO for compliant gold equivalent resources of 701,900 ounces gold equivalent equates to only 12 euros per ounce gold equivalent, which is just a fraction of our Gold Explorer peer group average of 55 euros per ounce gold equivalent, and which suggests significant upside following the IPO. I don't think we will get there immediately, but I certainly believe we'll head in that direction. And of course, at the same time, we hope to also be growing our inventory of resources, which should further bolster this upside potential. And a brief recap of the investment highlights here that were mentioned throughout the presentation. Northgold offers exposure to both early and advanced stage gold exploration in a top jurisdiction of Finland. We have a dominant land position with district scale potential in an underinvested and emerging belt. We have good local infrastructure, including road access to both projects, which connect to rail and ports. Our mineralization is high value because it's near surface, which bodes well for low discovery cost, low strip ratio, making it suitable for open pit mining. And it's largely open at depth where very little drilling has been done to date. We also see potential to expedite the advancement of our flagship COPSA to development and production stages, helped by our conditionally approved mining permit and outdated toll milling PEA that was completed in 2013. And we have aligned founding shareholders, board, and management team with strong track records creating and working with listed companies. Following upcoming catalysts following the IPO, we hope to put out our exploration plans, announcing in the weeks and months following the IPO. We plan to start drilling by May, a 5,000 meter program of core drilling, and we hope to put out results probably beginning by middle part of this year, and possibly a resource update due around the end of this year. Lastly, I will briefly highlight the capital structure going into the IPO. As mentioned, these are our founding shareholder groups: Magnus Minerals, Starboard Global. Magnus Minerals and its related parties own 42% of the company. Starboard Global and its related parties own 22% of the company. And I'll also point out, encouragingly, the board and management together own 12% of the company. So we are aligned with investors. 2% of this is owned by myself. And also point out that all these shareholders have entered lockup agreements for 100% of their shares going into the IPO, which causes their shares to be locked up for 12 months from the first day of trading, during which time the shares cannot be sold. And with that, I'll leave it for questions, Lars.
So thank you, Mitch, for an interesting presentation. I would like to start to ask you, why do you want to go to the stock market right now?
Yeah, well, the exploration drilling is not really a game for private companies. It's often capital intensive, and so we do need to typically tap the capital markets to generate significant funds to conduct costly core drilling. And we think the time is now, given the gold price. The gold price is hovering around $1,900 an ounce. As mentioned, the last time studies were completed on our projects, the assumed gold price was only $1,200 per ounce, which suggests significant improvements today versus back in 2013. And there are some uncertainties in the equity markets right now, but we think that's more than offset by the strong and rising gold price.
Okay, so how about the impact of the Ukraine crisis for you think?
Yeah, that's good and bad. Often uncertain global events like that can be very positive for the gold price, but it can also be negative for global equity markets as a whole. But we believe the positive impacts associated with the rising gold price should outweigh any negative impacts on the equity markets as a whole.
Okay, you're raising about 43 million Swedish crowns. How long will that money last?
Yeah, that money is set to last, according to our budget, for 24 months. And during that time, we would hope to raise additional months additional funds sometime over the next 2 years, hopefully following some encouraging results from exploration.
Do you have received any subscription commitment in connection with this issue?
Absolutely. Our minimum planned IPO transaction of 43.5 million SEK is 74% covered by cornerstone commitments. We have 32 million SEK commitments.
Okay. And if I would like to invest in your company, what time perspective do you think I should have?
Yeah, it's a good question. Of course, we would encourage our investors to buy and hold our stock. We see lots of upside in the long term, but depending on your specific needs, we have outlined, the short and medium, long-term goals. So as mentioned, the short-term plan is to grow our resources to 1 million ounce gold equivalent from 725,000 ounce. So perhaps certain investors may want to get in and get out in that 12 or 18 months period as we approach and meet that goal. For investors that want exposure to the longer term development and production stories, they might want to hold it to the 2 or 3 year target for our medium term goals, and maybe the 3 to 5 years for the longer term goals.
Okay. When will the company show positive results, you think?
Well, for a gold exploration company, positive results often come in the form of drill results and resource updates. And we hope to kick off drilling this coming May. And we hope to start putting out results around the middle part of this year, summertime, pending the assays in the lab. But around the middle part of this year, we hope to be putting out some encouraging drill results, which would be indicative of positive results.
And do you say you have any competitors?
Yeah, certainly there's other listed gold exploration companies in Finland, but actually most of them are operating in the northern part of the company up in Lapland. So I'd say we actually have, and some of those companies include, as mentioned, Rupert Resources, Orion Resources, and some others operating up there. But many of those are operating in the advanced exploration stage, whereas Northgold offers a little bit of early stage exploration also. And we don't have any listed competitors actually operating in the central part of Finland, in the Middle Ostrobothnia belt. So yeah, we have very few to no competitors in the central part of the country, but there are some other explorers in the northern part of the country of in Finland.
What are the biggest opportunities and risks for you right now, you would say?
The biggest opportunities, are this underexplored belt of central Finland at the right time when the gold price is rising. Only the surface has been scratched here, and we're timing that, we think, nicely with gold price. In terms of risks, obviously geologic and technical risks are often front and center for exploration companies, but we hope to mitigate that by doing things in a stepwise method. We want to walk before we run, and as mentioned, we already have a solid resource base, much of which is in the measured and indicated category. So we think that limits our downside a little bit, and we can hopefully only go up from there, from our solid starting base of 725,000 ounce gold resource, much of which is in the measured and indicated category.
Well, okay, you're talking about the rising gold price here. How do you see in the future of the golden price? Will it be strengthening in a 2-3 years perspective?
Yeah, the time window for the rise in gold price, it can be limited. However, if you look back to the last cycle in 2008, 2009 financial crisis, the gold price performed quite strong for a number of years following that, into 2011 and so on. So we don't want to speculate too much on the gold price, but we're bullish on it. We're bullish on it for the next number of years, at least.
Okay, we have a question from a viewer. How do you deal with the currency risk in the company?
The currency risk. Well, we're raising Swedish krona, and we're spending much of that will be spent as either euros or Finnish currency, and we believe as mentioned, the rising gold price should hopefully offset some of those other currency risks for Northgold.
Okay, thank you very much, Mitch, for tonight and for the presentation, and we wish you good luck in the future.
Thank you, Lars. Take care.
The same.